obviously is not here, Melissa. I think you kind of met her briefly, who is from Waterloo, Iowa. And she wanted me to ask you a couple, do I say Iowan questions?
Sure.
The first one is it for you, Iowa State or Iowa Hawkeyes?
Iowa State is in my catchment area. The College of Iowa State is in Ames, Iowa. So even though my director, Lisa Kearns, will probably throw a rock at me later, I would say Iowa State.
Okay. And then, I don't understand this question, but small kernel corn or large soft kernel corn?
So I am, if you've never heard of the Iowa State Fair, I encourage everybody to look it up because it is unlike any fair I have ever seen in my life. I will say large soft kernel is my preferred.
Okay, and I don't know if anybody in Buffalo is aware that there's, we don't use those terms. We have bread and butter, different, so.
Never underestimate the ingenuity of the human being to create food.
This is true. And then on the cob or cut off?
I prefer on the cob.
It's a lot fresher that way.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. I understand you were deployed to Afghanistan and Iraq. Are there any experiences you want to share about your deployment?
Sure. It is true. I had tours to Afghanistan and Iraq. I think those deployments helped solidify kind of who I am today and why I do what I do today. A medic in the Army, I always used to say I have a very simple job. I go where my people go, and I go to where they need me. I always used to make that a very simplistic thing, and really, if you think about us in the VHA, we are going to where the veterans are.
Right.
We go where our people go, and we deliver what our veterans need. And so I would say those deployments, amongst many things, taught me, they always say, a lot of people can talk, but are you committed to the mission? That coming out of those, I was committed to what I did for a living. I was committed to the soldiers that were around me, and it just allowed me to bring that same commitment or dedication to the mission of the VA. The VHA, we engage our veteran population on a daily basis, and there's a great high likelihood we're encountering them on the worst day.
Right.
And the compassion in which that we deliver that care is admirable, and probably the number one reason I returned to the VA after being in the private sector for a while.
Okay. Now here's the really, really tough question I know our staff wants me to ask. I know there's been a lot of worry about the staff related to the uncertainty and the staffing. As a leader, how do you keep everyone rowing in the same direction and focus on our VA mission and not be distracted by the press?
Well, I think one of the most difficult things about either working, whether it's in the Department of Defense or the VHA or any agency that works under the executive branch, is the environment or the politics of the environment are always going to play out in one way, shape, or form. It's going to create new directions, new changes, new environments. So what I have rested on in central Iowa and in the short time that I've been here is back to that mission. The country is dedicated to provide high quality, timely care to the veterans that this country can send to war on their behalf. We are the instrument of that dedication. So I do know that the uncertainty and the turmoil and everything, I don't want to overlook that that's not real, but I would encourage people day in, day out, our mission will be the mission of this country, the dedication of the people. And so if we focus on that, we do that well, and we become the healthcare system of choice of our customer, the veterans, that's going to be our legacy, and that's going to be the most important thing for us to focus on.
Yeah, I know, and the uncertainty's been tough on everybody, and I know the Pentate's been great. When they find out something, they share it with all of us immediately.
Right.
There's been times over the last few months before you got here that, they got something in 30 minutes, and 30 minutes later they're having a town hall. So,
right.
and I believe that's how you think
absolutely.
too. So.
I will say this: the most difficult thing in leadership, everybody learns this at the beginning stages, is the communication. And I said, from the time I pinned on corporal, I was taught communication is difficult and the most important thing that you can do. And it's challenging. That has never changed. In these times, as we experience new information, new things come out and everything, it's always about looking for that sweet spot, that ability to communicate. Email works in portion. Sometimes face-to-face discussions are important. I think what a lot of us here in Western New York, where I was coming from, is our ability to get out in front of staff, be very transparent with what we know, even if that information is like 30 minutes old, but also being very transparent in what we don't know. And rather than feeling compelled as a leader to have all the answers, is to be much more transparent and say, this is what I don't know right now, but we are continually seeking more information.
That's good to hear, and I know our employees appreciate it, whether they're getting good or bad news.
Absolutely.
They appreciate the fact that everybody's being transparent, which is definitely needed. How do you want to be addressed? Do you want to be addressed as Mr. Pharis or Brent?
Brent. My first name is Harold. My middle name is Brent. And I always said this. My very first day in the VA, they asked me, what's your first name, what's your last name? Had I known that I could have told them Brent rather than Harold, I would have done that.
So you've always gone by Brent?
Always.
Okay. So, yeah, I know people probably get nervous coming up to you, meeting you for the first time, and they don't know how to address you.
No, I always the people who have met me, I always introduce myself as Brent. That's
kind
what
of sticks.
The only other name that I've had is I've never used my first name being in the military. I was always Doc Pharis. And so, or just Doc.
Yeah.
And so being in the VA, I just ask people by my first name.
Good. And everybody I've talked to is receiving you well. They all have high compliments about you.
So I have made it from the basement to floor 8, Apple Tree twice, and Batavia now 4 times. I was out there today in moderate visits. The ability or the willingness of the staff, I'm not saying to stop what they're doing, but so welcoming, so inviting, walking me around, showing me the things that I need to see. And most importantly, that's going to be instrumental for me. I'm a huge high reliability rounder.
Awesome.
I like to talk to staff. I ask certain questions like, what's our next safety event if we don't do something? What is keeping you up at night, that you're just waiting for a mistake and everything? The staff here have been so just open and transparent about that. And I think that is one of the most critical parts of being a high reliability organization, is the employee body having that voice, being able to speak up.
And I know you're big on recognition because you had a town hall where you
I
already had the opportunity to get some awards out.
I do. I don't just say in healthcare, but I do say in our society we like to hyper focus on what didn't go well. And I think that's great because we're striving for excellence. We're striving to be the best that we can be. And I think that's great. The problem is we tend to just focus on that, and then the compliments or the things that we do well tend to almost become, well, that's our job.
Right. And that's 95% of what is out there, right? Is positive. So
I will tell you, I think I said in the town hall, if we stacked them up, you would have a hard time tripping over the negative comments, and the positive comments would probably be the size of this building.
Yeah.
And all I'm saying is I think it's great that we focus on our processes and our flows, looking for gaps in those. We want to deliver the highest quality care, but we cannot lose sight that the tremendous things that our staff do on a daily basis, they get no praise for. They seek no accolades or they just consider it as part of their job. And I kind of feel it's my job to point those things out and encourage other leaders to also, you kind of get blinders on the day-to-day operations and make sure that we are appreciating and acknowledging our staff on a daily basis.
Okay. Did I miss anything that you want to?
No, I don't think so. I just would say I've had a lot of questions about how I got here, how I got selected to be the detail. I volunteered for here. I volunteered to be part when I was afforded the opportunity to come. The reputation of the Western New York VA healthcare system is tremendous. And so I was excited to, even if it's for a short time, to come out and be part of the team and just hopefully be what I call a force multiplier, or a element of encouragement or change, whatever the healthcare system needs in this time.
We certainly are glad you're here. And speaking of teams, one last question, and I'm sure it's on everybody's mind. Are you a Bills fan?
So I must admit right off, I watch football.
Okay.
I don't follow football closely. What I will say is if I had to pick a team that I probably follow, it would be the Seattle Seahawks. And
okay, that makes sense.
I've spent a great deal of my life in the Pacific Northwest and everything. Now, with that being said, I will say this. I was anticipating to see more Sabre fans when I got here. I'm a huge hockey fan.
Oh, good.
Huge hockey fan. All my kids play. It is part of my family's culture, and I was anticipating to find a lot more Sabre fans.
Oh, they're out there. Unfortunately, they found their groove at the end of the season instead of the beginning. So they'll be fun to watch next year, I'm sure.
I did say this, if I get the opportunity. I this past Saturday I got to go down to KeyBank Arena. I did not get a ticket to go in to see the Bandits game, but I got to participate. There was a lot of festivities that go on around that.
Yeah, that's one thing Buffalo has, 3-time champs, Bandits.
Yeah. If I get a chance to go to a Bills game, if I'm here in the preseason, I absolutely plan to. But I don't know that you will be able to classify me as a Bills fan.
Well, if you're here long enough, we'll make you a Bills fan.
Everyone keeps telling me.
I hope you're here for at least a game or two that you can see how our staff is the day before, on the Friday before a game. 'Cause everybody's dressed in their Bills gear, and it's a lot of fun. We enjoy that every Friday. So, well, welcome. We're glad to have you.
Thank you.
And thanks for doing the interview, and now everybody will know a little more about you.
Absolutely.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, friends, and welcome to our